Every little girl is supposed to want to grow up to be a beautiful princess. How can you blame her? She grows up knowing that a glass slipper from the prince will change her destiny. She also knows that she may fall into a deep slumber only to be rescued by a princess kiss. Let's not forget the fairest of them all. She manages to be loved for cleaning after 7 short men. Wow, the world we have created for our beautiful creatures. I watched all these cartoons. I imagined my prince choosing me over all of the others. I imagined dancing across the ballroom while everyone's eyes followed my graceful steps. I was the envy of every ball in every childhood fantasy. These fantasies were quite a contrast to my reality at home. Now, allow me to elaborate before you jump to conclusions. I had a fantastic childhood. From as young as I can remember, my mother kept my hair short. As a toddler, this meant wild red curls. The majority of my pictures were of me in funny poses. One with my father's big glasses, another with ketchup all over my face, and another swinging off a gate at our home. There are very few pictures where I'm sitting like a pretty proper girl with perfect clips in my hair. In fact, I remember always getting scraped and having yet another bruise on my knee. As I got a little older, my classmates had perfect pigtails and long ponytails or fancy clips. I remember looking at the flowing locks of hair wishing I had the same, but I had a boy cut. Yes, famously known as the Diana cut. Surprisingly, I looked nothing like Princess Diana. Instead, I looked like a skinny boy with bruised knees and short black hair wearing a dress. In fact, I once went on a strike and refused to go to the salon, so my mom was forced to grow out my hair. I think I lost the battle when I started looking like a philosopher with sideburns and thick hair on top. According to my mom, it was so I could enjoy being a kid, so I could run, jump, swing from the monkey bars without having to worry about a ponytail or braids getting undone. Finally, I started looking like a girl. Nonetheless, it was a long journey. I still was not able to do what other teenage girls did. For some reason, I was not allowed to wear lip gloss, blush, or mascara. Instead, I would get a face cream, some nice clothes, and I was sent on my way. This actually lasted all the way to high school. I finally put on eyeliner during senior year in high school and also experimented with lipstick. But by then, all the girls were way ahead of me. They had been putting on makeup for years. They knew what foundation, blush, concealer, and primer was. I was just getting started. There was no way I could catch up. After all, I just realized I could straighten my hair. So, I am assuming when you hear the scenario I describe, you feel very sorry for me. I sound like a plain Jane feeling like an ugly duckling when all she needed was a pretty set of pigtails and lip gloss. Well, here is the catch. I never felt ugly, and never even knew I was a plain Jane. I never felt like I needed lip gloss, and I certainly never felt like I needed any concealer to conceal anything, ever. Other than wanting long locks of hair, I was simply perfect in my mind. In fact, now that I look at pictures of the plain Jane, I'm so surprised about how pretty I felt inside. I only know that because I was able to try so many new things, take risks, and excel in so many different things in school that I must have honestly thought I was pretty amazing all the way around. I'm not saying this to brag. I'm simply analyzing how a plain Jane surrounded by beauty queens managed to be well-rounded, extremely confident young girl. I did see not myself the way I see myself in those photos now. Now that I know the power of concealer, blush, and eyeliner, I also did not see myself perhaps how others saw me. I saw me how my mother saw me. My mother never called me beautiful. In fact, she never called anyone beautiful. My mother only talked about other girls as smart, funny, classy, or confident. Thus, naturally, I started to appreciate those qualities in other girls and wanted to develop myself to be a girl with such attributes. Thus, in turn, others responded to me in kind. I thought I had it all, and knowing that I knew that, they believed it too. What a lesson for life. Beautiful was powerless to me. It was a word that had no value in my mother's eyes. It was a happy accident and perhaps it was never impressed upon in my home. When I look at pictures as a teenager, I see the brilliance of it all. The calculated strategy of my mother imposed on me to help me gain inner confidence without relying on my exterior. In fact, it was not until I reached adulthood, mid-20s, did I realize how others viewed me physically. It was through the eyes of strangers that I realized how much people really respond to and judge you on your looks. Luckily, I had blossomed from a plain Jane to someone who understood the power of makeup by then. It was actually a disheartening reality, especially when I realized that older women analyze the beauty of younger girls. Women are unnecessarily tough on other women. Perhaps it is because a lot of women have been victims of the cycle themselves, always feeling that they were not pretty enough. Just last week, my mother was casually telling me why I had a boycott when I was 4. It went beyond the fact that she wanted me to run and jump without hair in my face. She simply said, "You looked so cute. The short hair was part of your charm." How wonderful I feel even now to hear those words. My mother really thought that, even as a child, her daughter's charm was the most important thing. I have beautiful curls, and I let them run wild. They jump as I jump, and I can only hope I always feel beautiful in the same way my mother made me feel beautiful, by never saying it out loud. I was going into middle school when my parents told me they were splitting up. As a kid, you see other families split up, but you never think it could happen to your own family. When my parents first told me about the divorce, I was just like any other kid. I was confused and angry. I didn't understand what was happening, and I just wanted my family to be a family again. As time went on, I became less angry. I began asking more questions and realizing different things. Hearing every fight and listening to parents talk down to each other is not just scarring, but terrifying. I understand that once two people fall out of love, it's hard to fall back into it. However, that doesn't mean that it's impossible. I know that the decision to get divorced doesn't just happen overnight, but maybe it would be easier to try and remember what led you to get married in the first place. I didn't understand why this was happening, or what we did to make my dad not want to live with us anymore. How was I, a little girl, going to tell my friends that the reason I can't have a play date was because my dad moved out and I was spending the weekend with him? A million questions raced in my head all at the same time. My life was about to change dramatically, and I didn't even know how to deal with it. My name is Chloe, and this is my story. For most girls, including myself, your mom is the biggest inspiration in your life. She's the one you can always count on to cheer you up. After the divorce, my mom wasn't herself anymore. One day, I came back from school and I saw her standing in front of the tall mirror in the living room and crying. I tried to hold her, but she pretended that she was fine. I have a younger brother. His name is Adam, and he's only 8 years old. I'm now 15. Adam is not aware of what's happening. He might be in denial. Anyways, it was my first year in high school, and I was so excited. But sadly, my mom wasn't. She used to be so full of life, and I kept wondering what had gotten into her. Maybe the divorce, but that was a couple of years ago. Everything at home was just dramatic. We even spent 2 days without food because we had little money. And my mom got fired from her job. Well, my dad sends us money, but it barely covered the bills. It was summertime, and me and my best friend Kim decided to take a part-time job. I told my mom, and she barely smiled. But I was focused on getting away from all the drama and saving money. We both got jobs at the mall in a perfume shop. Well, between you and me, there was another reason I wanted the job. There is this guy called Liam who also works at the mall, and I have a huge crush on him. The day I got my first paycheck, Kim came home with me. We were laughing and having a good time. We wanted to take a selfie with the first money we ever earned. My mom was in the background, and she jumped up and moved out of the picture. Later that night, I finally had the courage to ask my mom what was going on. I said, "Mom, why did it jump out of the picture earlier?" My mom paused for a while and said, "I just don't like pictures, Chloe." And that was quite shocking because my mom loves pictures. We have tons of photo albums. I went upstairs to call Kim. Well, we discussed work, Liam, school, and finally my mom. Next day at work, our boss offered a huge bonus to whoever sells more than 5 bottles of perfume. And guess who took the bonus? Of course I did. Right after my shift ended, Kim was still wrapping up with a customer while I waited for her. Liam waved at me. I blushed so hard and I waved back. He came over and asked for my number. He was about to say something, but Kim was done with the customer. Liam texted me that night. He asked me if I was free on the weekend. My eyes turned into literal hearts, and I said yes. Liam and I are officially going out on a date. I ran downstairs to tell my mom the good news. I took the bonus, and I have a date. I was just happy that something could finally take my mind off the divorce. However, I found my mom staring at the mirror again. I told her the news and everything. She already knows about Liam. I thought she would get excited, but she silently hugged me and said goodnight. Next morning, I went to work feeling all happy. Also, Kim promised we would go shopping for my big night with Liam. We finished work and went into a fancy shop to try on a few outfits. I picked out a white skirt and a pink blouse, and I looked perfect. I went back home and I wanted to show my new outfit to my mom. I found Adam doing his homework on the kitchen floor, and I asked him, "Adam, where is Mom?" He replied, "I don't know, she left in the morning with a big bag." Now, what does that mean? Should I call my dad? I spent half of my paycheck on the new outfit. So I just went up to my room to grab some money and go to my dad's place. To my surprise, I couldn't find my money, not even a penny. I went into my mom's room and half of her closet was gone, which explains the big bag Adam was talking about. I called Kim and I was freaking out. I told her to come over. Kim came over and told me that I had to call my dad, and that just felt awkward. I mean, I love my dad and everything, but we're not close. I haven't seen him for a while, and we never really talk on the phone. But I had to do what I had to do, and so I called him. "Hey Dad, it's me, Chloe." He replied, "Hey kiddo, long time no see." I said, "Yeah, Dad, I can't find Mom." My dad went silent for a moment there and then said, "What do you mean you can't find her? Have you called her?" I replied back, "Her phone is in her room, Dad, and Adam says she left in the morning." My dad said he will come over. Kim and I went up to my mom's room and I found a note on her bed. The note said, "I'm sorry, Chloe. I'm at the hospital. I promise I'll pay you back." By that time, my dad had arrived. Why did everything get so complicated? Why is my mother like that? Me, my dad, Kim, and Adam, we all went to the hospital together. My dad spoke to the receptionist and said, "I'm here for Charlotte White. Where is she, please?" The woman replied, "She's getting ready for her surgery." I said, "What surgery?" The woman replied back, "This is confidential information, I'm sorry." I screamed at her and said, "I'm her daughter. Now tell me, where is my mom?" Another woman stepped in and said, "I'm so sorry. Mrs. White is getting ready in room 104." And we all went up to the room. We found Mom in a white hospital gown, ready for anesthesia. I sat down next to her, and Dad just stood there. "Mom, what's wrong?" My mom didn't answer my question. She just started crying. Dad took Adam outside the room and left us alone. Mom said, "I'm just getting my face and a few things fixed." I'm getting a facelift, Chloe. I said nothing back. When she's the one I can always count on to cheer me up, now what am I supposed to do? Imagine the shock and confusion when this strong woman, my mother, a strong single mother, is paying thousands of dollars for someone to take a knife to the very face that comforted me the first time I fell off my bike and cried when I got sick. For the last year, she has refused to be in pictures because she's so obsessed with her laughter lines and chubby cheeks. So, ever the problem solver, she has decided to do something about it. But it's a horrible turn of affairs that her solution will hospitalize her for 2 days and leave her with deep scars behind her ears. My heart just sank. I couldn't believe she felt so bad about her face. I imagined the hours she must have spent alone, gazing sadly into that mirror, wishing away features that, to me at least, are totally beautiful. Why would something so extreme be necessary for her to be happy with how she looks? This was the first time I had seen her without makeup on in as long as I could remember. She looked tired and nervous. Well, we were both bundles of nerves, but I tried to make small talk to distract her from the dawning reality that she was facing major surgery. There was no way of talking her out of it. After 2 days, Dad took me and Adam to visit her. As we entered the recovery room, the first thing she said was, "I wish I hadn't done it." She had a tight, swollen face, thick purple scars running down the sides of her neck, and was being attended by two nurses. They were showing her how to put on the head straps she had to wear for the next 2 weeks. Why did I do this? She repeatedly asked me. I wanted to cry, though at this point all I could do was thank the nurses, pick up my mom's bags, and most importantly, reassure her that I'm sure she would look amazing. When she was in the hospital, she had noisy machines attached to her for 48 hours, and that made it difficult to sleep. And worst of all, she felt trapped and helpless. The week after the operation, she seemed sad, drained, and confused. She slept badly because she couldn't lie down and felt a lot of pain around her head caused by the clips holding her wounds in place. "I'm sure you're going to look fantastic when it's all healed," I told her over and over again. A week later, I went with her to have her stitches removed. The surgeon said, "Mrs. White, your body thinks it's been hit by a train, so it's normal to feel woozy at this stage." I looked at my mom and told her, "Promise me that this is the last time you put yourself in so much risk like that." And before she could even say anything back, she looked at the surgeon and told him, "I'd like to talk to you about liposuction around my middle. When's the soonest you can fit me in? And my mom will have yet another operation next month. I will have to go through the whole miserable process again, with no assurance that this procedure will be the one to finally make her happy with the way she looks." We went back home. My mom stood in front of the same mirror, still not looking happy. I just went upstairs and texted Liam a long apology because I bailed on him. Well, my mom and I never discussed the money she took from me. All I know is that the face that will look back at me over lunch or at my prom won't be her face anymore. It will be a synthetic version of her, reimagined and sculpted by a doctor promising her the self-esteem she was so desperately seeking. This experience has left me with one unanswered question. What is she really spending all this money and heartache trying to fix? And no, I will not be discussing what her new face looks like because the main thing is that it doesn't look like my mom.